you want to understand how to be healthy, you got to understand how to be more in the love side, more in the healing side, more in the wholeness side, and less in the fear side, and less in the anger side, and less in the shutdown side, the contraction side. And to do it, we have to understand how this whole system goes awry, how it all breaks down. Because, you know what? We wouldn't have survived if we were meant to be as sick and as fat and as diabetic and as diseased as we are. We would not have made it. Do you understand? The fact that we made it hundreds of thousands of years from our ancestors on the African savannah to here is testimony to the fact that we are amazingly perfect beings, organismically. You guys get me?
Yeah.
Okay, organismically, we wouldn't have made it. A baby's perfect if everything is correct. However, and this is the sad fact, our disaster, this disaster of health, begins at birth. Actually, it begins prenatally. Which is why the greatest thing a mother can do if she's going to have a baby is make sure she's taking care of her baby in the womb. And there's multiple ways of doing it. For many of our parents, certainly the standard American parents, that didn't happen. However, forget prenatally. When a baby comes down the birth canal, that baby's supposed to be drenched in bacteria. How many of you have experienced this? Well, observed it. We've all experienced it. Not necessarily.
Raise your hand.
No. How many of your mothers? You know what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm talking about? The baby gets bathed in bacteria. Those bacteria, for the rest, it's very ironic and very interesting in a way, because those bacteria are the major health criteria, or the major criteria for health of that, for that baby, for the rest of that baby's life. We are held hostage to colonies of bacteria in our colon for our health and wellness. They are our health angels. And they're personal. Everybody has their own. In fact, in the future, they'll be detecting various people and various diseases simply by the signature of what's called the microbiome. Micro meaning small, bio meaning life, biome meaning the world of small life that lives in our colon. That's made up of trillions of bacteria. The most lowly and humble life form on the planet runs our lives. Now, this is under a good situation. The baby's bathed with bacteria. However, 33% of babies are born cesarean. So immediately, you've got 1 out of 3 babies who are compromised. Immediately. Right off the bat, they just got out of the womb. Now, that also predisposes that mother has good bacteria to pass to baby, that mother is well taken care of. You can eliminate another 20%. That's 1 out of 2 already. 1 out of 2 babies already. Oh, it gets worse. It gets worse. Because even if that baby's lucky enough to come out of the tube of the birth canal with the bacterial coat, see, human babies are born premature. Nature has a weird setup because human beings have big heads. We're born with big heads. It's difficult enough to get through the birth canal, right? Imagine if the head was fully formed and if the body was fully developed and it was a fully developed human being, entity. It would be much more difficult to pass. So human beings come out early. Human beings come out premature. Human beings come out immature, but that's not a problem. Divine force is perfect. We wouldn't have survived this long if there wasn't an allowance made for that. And there is. The most premature or immature systems in a baby, in a human baby, are the digestive system / immune system. They're the same system, FYI. Digestive system / immune system. We'll get to that in a second. And that's the system that breaks down, that is the most immature, the most premature. But that's not a problem because nature's perfect. Always. Divine force is perfect. We wouldn't have survived this long. So we got a system in place that grows the digestive tract lining and supports the immune system and the nervous system, the health in general of the baby. That's called breast milk. All right? The most powerful food a human being can ingest, breast milk. We should all have our own source of breast milk somewhere. Ideally, I don't know why.
Our own wet nurse.
We really should. We really should from a health perspective. If you're a movie star, you're a rich person, you can afford anything you want, you should have a breast of your own that you can, milk whatever you want because it's the best stuff. It's growth stuff. It's anti-cancer. It builds the immune system. It builds the digestive tract. It's perfect. However, How many babies aren't breastfed? Probably about 1 out of 3, or 1 to 2 to 1 out of 3 aren't breastfed at all. Formula. Now it's getting a little bit better, but people my age, people in their 40s, people in their 50s, people in their 60s, forget it. They were told, their mothers were told that it was old-fashioned.
Yeah.
The same thing that they're telling people in third world countries today. People tell mothers in Africa today that it's old-fashioned to use breast milk. So right off the bat, we're compromised. Many of us are compromised through not getting the bacteria. We're not getting the breast milk, or even if we're getting the breast milk, the mother's not doesn't have enough nutrients to support healthy breast milk, or she's not feeding long enough. Immediately, the baby is not even a week old. And this is 2/3 of us. You guys getting this? It gets worse. It gets worse. All right? Once the digestive tract breaks down, you're off to the races. Because the digestive tract is not you. The digestive tract is a hallway between the outside world and the inside world. The ancient Greeks actually thought the digestive system was was a little animal that lived inside the body. It really did, because it has its own brain. The digestive system has its own brain. It's called your enteric brain, or your second brain. Ever try to not vomit? Doesn't work. Doesn't work, does it? You will vomit, or whatever. You come out the other end. Whatever end, it's out of your control. It's called your enteric nervous system, your second brain, and it's like it runs the digestive tract and keeps the digestive tract operating semi-autonomously. Pretty autonomously, actually. The digestive tract's purpose is to vet anything from getting into the real body. Do you guys know what I mean when I say vet? To check. It's like Studio 54. You ever see that movie, Studio 54? You can come in. You stay out. You can come in. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Right? Beginning, they had the bouncer at Studio 54, and he would pick people to come in, tell people not to come in, and that's the lining of your digestive tract that depended on the mother's milk and the probiotics and the good bacteria that were coming in, and is immediately compromised. When that gets compromised, stuff gets into the blood. That's not good. The blood is the sacred space, the holy of holies. Nothing gets into the blood unless it is vetted and allowed and passed through the liver, which is like security. It's like immigration, basically. That's what it is. It's like TSA, yes, that's what it is. It's deactivating, and oh man, your liver, that's amazing. Hepatitis C, it's like another one of the, add to the list of diseases that are like epidemics. That's a classic sign of a liver that's pooped. These days, 30% of Americans have something called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. You know why they call it non-alcoholic fatty liver disease? Because they got to separate it from the kind of liver disease that you used to have to drink Jack Daniels out of a paper bag on Larimer Street to get. Now everybody's getting it.
Cirrhosis?
Cirrhosis is a version. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is kind of a generic term. Cirrhosis and fatty liver and anything that goes wrong with the liver is a manifestation of stuff that's getting into the body that shouldn't be getting into the body. Any case, once the liver is involved, the liver regulates energy and energy metabolism. It also regulates sugar metabolism. So now you've got a kid. The kid is probably about 8 or 9 years old, say. He's got digestive tract, all kinds of digestive problems, been constipated his whole life, breaking out. Say he's 11 or 12 or 13, he's breaking out. He's manifesting all of the signs of disease that we consider to be normal. All of the signs of disease that we consider to be normal. That's how sick we are, that we consider to be normal. Yes?
Just one thing. There's been an increase about 400% in food allergies.
That's a huge problem. And the GMO thing doesn't help and all of that. But here's the thing. I'm going to get to the good news. This is the bad news. Okay, there's good news here. There's good news. How many of you heard my radio program? Okay, what's the name of it? No. The name of the program is The Bright Side, because it's about the good news. I'm giving you the bad news here, but ultimately this is a good news story. The good guys can win, potentially. So anyway, so the kid is now 8, 9 years old. Because he's got this history of changes in blood sugar, now he's got the beginnings of what's called dysglycemia. Dys means dysfunction, messed up. Glyce means sugar. Emia means blood. Messed up blood sugar. They used to call it adult onset diabetes. Now they just call it type 2 diabetes because kids get it. The same condition, it's a rare condition from an evolutionary standpoint, diabetes, because we never had any sugar really. The body doesn't really know what to do with sugar, and it is a major control trip. There's a reason why sugar stays at $1.50 a pound. Anybody notice this? Always. They do not mess with the price of sugar. They keep that sugar, you get a steady stream of it. No problem there. Sugar is a major source of power, a major restriction in the game. Major. And it does us no good to rail about fluoride and synthetic chemicals and drugs if we are indulging in the single most toxic gram for gram chemical we could possibly eat in terms of the amount we're getting. It's not as toxic as, pesticides or something, but in terms of the amount we're getting, it's the single most toxic thing we interact with. And it's everywhere. Everywhere. And it's one of the most powerful ways that you can increase and access and leverage the healing powers of your body and anti-age and be strong is to stay as far away from that as you can. Because from an evolutionary standpoint, we never had sugar. We were lucky to get a berry. That was the sugar. Maybe some honey, if you were lucky. But all of nature's sources of sugar come complete with everything you need to use them. We never had this much pure, powerful sugar. And I'll tell you about sugar here in a second, the reason why it's so dangerous. But anyway, your kid now has dysglycemia and the beginnings of weight problems. By the time the kid is now in his 20s, the dysglycemia can become very significant. And over the course of changes in how the body handles sugar, the body goes through these periods of high blood sugar and low blood sugar. You eat a bunch of sugar, or drink a sugary beverage, which is the worst, and it's much worse once the intestinal lining has been damaged, because then the sugar goes in really fast. You eat a bunch of sugar, your sugar goes up. Body can't handle sugar, because sugar is explosive. If there's ever a fire in a sugar factory, it takes like all the fire engines from cities around the factory to put the thing out, and it takes days to put it out. You ever get a sugar burn? Sugar burns hot, and it's very explosive, and the body doesn't like it. The body doesn't like highs and lows. It likes stable. It wants to be stable at all times. And so, over the course of these high blood sugar and low blood sugar, I call it the high blood sugar, low blood sugar roller coaster, you've got these periods in between where there's not a lot of energy. There's low energy. As the sugar's being pulled out of the blood, we go into low energy. That's called hypoglycemia. Anybody ever hear of this? Mm-hmm. Hypoglycemia is when you've eaten so much sugar, your body's yanking it all out because it's an emergency. By the way, you know where it yanks it out, sticks it when it yanks it all out is on our butts and on our hips. That's what body fat is. It's the body's protective way of protecting itself from sugar. And, in any case, you go through these periods of adrenal activation. Your adrenal glands are your stress glands, your emergency glands. And while you're going through these periods of low blood sugar, your adrenal glands are kicking in. Your adrenal glands help you run from a saber-toothed tiger. Your adrenal glands are amazing, and your whole emergency system is amazing, but it's only supposed to run once in a while. It's not supposed to be dealing with dysglycemia, and it's not supposed to be dealing with toxemia from a messed up digestive system. And by the time the kid is now in his 20s or 30s, he is hypoadrenal or hyperadrenal, one or the other. He's dysglycemic, he's got messed up blood sugar. Well, something very interesting happens when the adrenal glands are constantly cranking. And by the way, you can tell you have adrenal glands that are constantly cranking if you're craving salt, if you have something called postural hypotension, which is where you bend down and stand up and feel a little dizzy. Anybody experience that ever? Or you get out of bed and you feel a little dizzy? Classic sign of adrenal stress. If you get up in the middle of the night and you can't go back to sleep, another one. Insomnia, another one. High blood pressure, another one. These are all the manifestations, and they're epidemic, of excess adrenal activity. And because your adrenal glands are your stress glands, they're the link between mental and emotional. Mental and emotional stressors run through the adrenal glands as well. So this is where we have some power. And I'll talk about that here in a second.
Forget about your immune problems.
What's that? All of it is with the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands suppress the immune system. The adrenal glands, thank you for bringing that up. That's a huge point. The adrenal glands suppress the immune system because when you're running from a saber-toothed tiger, immunity is not relevant. You understand what I'm saying? Your resources are all marshaled towards getting yourself